you can directly sell at this point or based on the single candle order block, and this was a single candle order block. This is your stop loss, and you can target the first target is your recent major low, which is at this point, and your major target is at this point. Trade the liquidity sweep reversals. Now, if as you can see that market sweep the liquidity of previous highs and lows, and also when market direction is to the downside and it sweep the liquidity of the previous lows, like at this point it gives the short term direction to the upside. But when market sweep the liquidity of the major highs and lows, it gives the long time reversals. And in this video we will see that how you can trade the liquidity sweep reversals. Now, first of all, as you can see that this is the 15-minute time frame chart. Now, at this point, as you can see that market was continued to the upside. Now, at this point, there was no previous major reversal of the liquidity sweep. Like at this point, market swept the liquidity of the previous major high at this point. Now, actually, this was not the proper liquidity sweep because market candle closed above this point. So this is the not a liquidity sweep, and market continue to move to the upside. Now, market again moving to the left upside at this point, and then finally market sweep the liquidity of the previous lows at this point. Like at this point, market structure has shifted to the downside from this point, and market started moving to the downside. Now, this was the previous major low at this point, and market swept the liquidity of this low. This was a external low and a major low because market has created the major low and moved to the upside. Now, when market sweep the liquidity at this point, then you can plan for the entry. Now, first of all, whenever market sweep the liquidity, then the first high broken is the change of character, or you can say that you don't need the change of character at that point, because whether you call it a change of character or not, that is the same thing. All we have to know is that market can reverse from this point. Now, as you can see that this was a liquidity sweep. Market has already swept the liquidity in the 15-minute time frame, and if you don't want to take the lower time frame entry, then you can see that in the 15-minute time frame market has already taken out the liquidity, and this was the unmitigated wick. If market tap on this point, you can look for a buy, and this was a buying point. At this point, this can be your stop loss, and you can target the high, previous major high, which was at this point, and you can take a partials above the previous highs, like at this point, and this can be your major target at this point. Now, this was the previous major low liquidity sweep where you can take the entry. Now again, as you can see that even though market direction was bearish at this point high liquidity was taken by the market, so this was not the reversal entry, but at this point again the liquidity sweep, you can look for the sell entry at this point. Now, at this point market moved to the upside. Now, as you can see that this was a previous major high, and market didn't sustain above this point, so this was again the liquidity sweep. Now, market sweep the liquidity. All you have to do is to wait for the market to break the first low, which is at this point. Now, after breaking the first low, you have to wait that whether market move to the upside, create a new high or not. Like market at this point failed to create the new high at this point, so there is an indication that market can now move to the downside. Now, when you can sell, whenever market take out the liquidity in their internal structure, like in the internal highs, and these were the internal liquidity at this point, market took out the liquidity, then you can plan for the sell. Now, after taking out the internal liquidity at this point, all these highs, there is a unmitigated order block at this point in the 15-minute time frame. This was the order block which has an imbalance. Now, when market tap on this point and created a single candle order block, or you can say that you can directly sell at this point or based on the single candle order block, and this was a single candle order block, this is your stop loss, and you can target the first target is your recent major low, which is at this point, and your major target is at this point. This was again your liquidity sweep trade. Now, at this point market continue to move to the downside. Now, when you can look for a buy or expect a reversal on the sweep of the liquidity, like when market sweep the liquidity of the previous major low. At this point there was a no liquidity sweep of the previous major low, but at this point, as you can see that this was the first pullback. At this point market swept the liquidity. This was the first pullback which market has swept the liquidity at this point, and this can be your unmitigated POI where you can look for a buy. but market failed it. Now again, when market failed it, this was the first pullback and this was the second pullback. This was again the liquidity sweep, and on the sweep of liquidity, this was your unmitigated order block, or you can say the PY. Market tap on it, you can look for the lower time frame entry or buy directly. This was the entry, this was your stop loss, and you can target the major highs. Like your first target can be at this point, another target can be at this point, or if you want to hold it for the longer term, another highs you can be your target. But at this point, market gave the reversal to the short term, because market may have not tap on this any of the higher time frame PY, but whenever market tap on the higher time frame PY and sweep the previous major highs or lows liquidity, then this can be the strong confirmation for the reversal. Like at this point, market created the low and then it opened the gap down. This can be the liquidity sweep, because market has directly opened to the downside and moved to the upside. This can we can consider it the liquidity sweep. Now whenever market close above the first high, you can say that this is your structure shift to the upside, or you can look for a buy at this point. Market moved to the upside, so now when you can again look for a buy, whenever market take out the liquidity. Market took out the liquidity till this point. Now this was the liquidity. Now after taking out the liquidity, this point is your unmitigated wick. Market tap on this point, you can again look for a buy. This is your entry and this is your stop loss, and you can target again the major highs. Like the first high can be your target at this point, and another target can be to the upside, or you can say that this major high, because market has swept the liquidity. Now why this liquidity sweep worked but this failed? Because this liquidity sweep can be on the higher time frame PY. Like this is the 15-minute time frame, so we move to the 4-hour time frame. Now as you can see that at this point we took out the entry. Now what was this point? At this point, if we move to the back side, you can see that this is the unmitigated order block. At this point, market tap on this point, and when market tap on the higher time frame PY, then the lower time frame major low liquidity sweep worked for the reversals. In this way you can identify the reversals. Now at this point, why this liquidity sweep worked? Because this was again the 4-hour order block. At this point, this was the reason why at this point market worked like this. Now why this point worked for the longer term downside direction? Because market has swept the higher time frame previous high. At this point there was a no candle close above this point, so this was the liquidity sweep. In this way, whenever market sweep the liquidity, you can expect the longer term moves and plan your trades accordingly. And if you want to learn it in a deep, then you can join our online classes, where we teach everything in a detail, step by step, and also some other models that you can use. So thanks for watching this video, and please make sure to like and subscribe this channel.